30 seconds and counting. Astronauts report it feels good. T-minus 25 seconds. 20 seconds and counting. T-minus 15 seconds. Guidance is internal. 12, 11, 10, 9. Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Oh, baby. What up, Bills Mafia? Wednesday night, it can only mean one thing. It's the mother effing Smoke Break live here on the Buffalo Fanatics YouTube channel. So glad you decided to spend your evening with me. Clay Troia, Buffalo Fanatics' very own, will be hopping on with me here in just a second. Clay got to go to the training camp over the weekend and see the Bills in person. Football's back, baby. I keep saying it, and I keep getting goosebumps. I can't say it enough, so it's going to be awesome to talk to Clay and get his thoughts on what he saw in person at Bills camp over the weekend. Let's give a shout-out to all the loyal viewers who are in the chat right now. Sheldon, what's up, my man? Colin, CR, Dawn, Matthew, James FX90, always here. I don't think James has ever missed a show. I don't think Don has either. You guys are always the best, always supporting. Jason Humber is in here. And without further ado, I'm going to bring on the man himself, Clay Troia, the film guru. There he is. Clay, my brother, what's happening?
How's it going, man? Thank you for having me on.
Oh, well, thanks for coming on. And I'm having you on, not only because I want to talk about what you saw in training camp, but little does everybody know watching the program right now that we have a very, very special surprise to show them at some point during the show, whenever, I don't know, whenever it feels right. Like you said, when we were talking off air, whenever it feels right. We might have a video with a very special guy who throws a very deep ball.
Mm-hmm.
You and I might have been on camera with this guy. Fill in the blanks in the comments if you know who we're talking about. We might have a couple videos with this said guy who throws a deep ball, who just so happens to have the highest throwing power in Madden this year. And you want to know what, Clay? I wasn't even going to talk about this, but you want to know what? Just brought up Madden. Do it real quick. Madden rankings come out. Josh Allen ranked 7th. 88 overall. Now, look, I'm fine with when you look at the rankings. And when you're playing Madden, honestly, Lamar Jackson, understand why he's ranked higher, because the running feature in Madden is almost impossible to stop. If your quarterback can run, it's a much higher advantage when you have that feature. So I get it from a gaming perspective. I understand the ranking at 7. To not have him as a courtesy in the 90s, just at a 90, after finishing 2nd in the MVP race, I thought, that's where you lost me. That to me was where it was egregious. I don't mind him being ranked 7th. What I mind is it almost seemed like Madden knew, hey, if we bump Allen 2 notches down from a 90, the free marketing we're going to get from the people in upstate New York is going to be insane. Your thoughts on when you first saw Allen didn't crack the 90 on Madden?
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense to me. I don't remember the last time Madden made anything good anyway, or got anything right, I guess I should say. But I don't know. He ended off the last season at an 88 as well. So, I mean, does history play any role into it? Or because, I mean, if history plays a role where it's like, sure, he's only had one good season, I guess, or, one season where he deserves to be in the 90s for. So if they're taking that into account, then sure, I can kind of guess why you would leave him that low. But after seeing the way that he played the whole season, I don't know how you could realistically look at that and say, oh yeah, he's an 88, doesn't belong in the 90s at all.
My guess he'll do. And I'm looking, I mean, I got a marketing background myself. I do it for a living. I understand how these things work. And what my assumption will be is that the 88 was to get everybody riled up. After week 2 with those live rating adjustments, they'll probably throw them up into the 90s. So they got their press, their buzz, people talking about it. Because what we fail to realize, because we're so enthralled with the Bills, is that the outside NFL circle that doesn't involve Bills fans, it's almost like Allen is like the favorite guy to pick at. I don't know why that is. It's insane. I think it's because of the dramatic attention that we give back to these people, which is why I say on this show constantly, just don't do it. Because the more you poke the bear, the more the bear is going to want to attack you, right? And we poke the bear a lot on Twitter. So it seems like everybody constantly wants to get their piece at pissing Bills Mafia off.
I mean, yeah, it's what better fan base to go after than one that you're definitely going to get a reaction out of. I mean, Bills Mafia on Twitter is absolutely insane. So, I mean, if there's any way that you want to get your name more well known, no publicity is bad publicity. So go have an argument with a Bills fan and your name will get out there for sure.
I think people just thought we were adorable, cute fans who love to get hammered because we didn't win for so long. I don't think anybody knew what they were in for when the Bills started to get good. See, the thing for me is this wasn't a shocker to me. I knew this was going to happen when the Bills got good, because I know how I am. I knew we were going to be insufferable, and I think right now we are. But I love that. Yep. I mean, everybody else gets to be insufferable. Our turn is here finally. I mean, we finally get a chance, and that's how So
yeah, and that's something that I've always said too. Even through the bad years and everything, I'm like, when we get good, I'm gonna be such an asshole, and everyone is gonna hate me because I've waited so long for this moment, and I'm really gonna enjoy it. So maybe we are a little bit insufferable, but I think we deserve to be after everything that we've been through. So give us a little bit of a break here.
Couldn't agree more. So let's get into the weekend here, Clay. Open practice for the Bills at One Bills Drive. The stadium hosted fans for an in-person practice. And I want to just start there with being in the stadium. I unfortunately was out of town, couldn't make the practice, and that's why I was so stoked you were able to come on tonight, because I wanted to get a firsthand account of what it was like. Let's start right there about just being in the stadium with fans again on a beautiful day, seeing the guys back out on the field. What was the vibe you had hanging out over at the Ralph?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Mother Nature picked a great day to not rain, since it seems like that was pretty much the entire month of July. So beautiful day. It was a little crowded getting into the lots, but not too bad. I got there pretty early myself and got up to a gate, and those gates were packed, man. But while we were waiting for that, for them to open up and let us in, there was a decent amount of people there. I tweeted out at the time, we're approaching like 12:30 on game day levels of traffic at these gates right now, just because those lines were really starting to back up a little bit. So that was kind of a cool thing to see at first, just to see, Bills Mafia back in full force, and at the stadium. And then going back in, I mean, it just felt right being back in that stadium, and having all the fans there, and you don't have to worry about a mask or anything for those that were vaccinated. So it felt right, and it felt good to be back. And yeah, like you said, the weather was fantastic, and then to see the guys in person again and up close, and for a lot of people, they were able to get a lot closer to those players than maybe they would have, even if it was at St. John Fisher. Being able to, if you get there early enough, just go sit in that first row and you get a first row seat the whole time, and they're right there in front of you. So, it was just to be back in that stadium and feel that environment again was, it felt really good.
I like that point you bring up. I'm a Rochester native, and I was so used to having the Bills come up to town for the training camp year in and year out. Although I knew down the stretch here it was inevitable it was going to move to Buffalo. The facilities got way too good. McDermott wasn't a huge fan of traveling. In all honesty, why would you? I never quite understood why they did, outside of just trying to reach the Rochester market, but it's probably got to be a hassle for the players. So, of course, they're back in Buffalo. What was it like doing training camp right there? Because this is really the first taste that fans have had to see that type of environment in Buffalo, as opposed to having to do it in the college atmosphere at St. John Fisher.
Yeah, well, and the biggest difference, I think, because I've been to up to Fisher before as well. I think the biggest difference was really just everything was kind of crammed into one field. You know, at Fisher they have multiple fields that they can travel over to, so usually they kind of split up. But it was kind of nice to be able to have everybody right there, and you can just kind of pick and choose which group you want to look at or what drill you want to watch, because everyone's right there in front of you. So that was kind of a nice thing. Even though I'm sure the coaches weren't too happy about figuring out the logistics of how to do all their drills on one field. It was cool to be able to see that, and kind of, have that access, that all access right there in front of you. So, I mean, other than that, I mean, it definitely was a different feel. I think St. John Fisher, they do a really good job out there during those camps to really, kind of make it an event. And there's a bunch of stuff that you can do besides, just you watch football. They got stuff for kids to do. They've got concessions and stuff like that. And it's always a really fun experience there. And they do a good job of that. So wasn't as much of that. And, the regulations and everything kind of go along with that as well. But really, it was a great experience, even though it was a little slightly different than usual.
I saw there was a sign at Steelers training camp that said not to record the practice to give the other team advantage. There wasn't any of that there, was it, that you saw?
Not that I saw. I didn't record any of the 11 on 11 just because I didn't, I'm like, I don't know. I don't want to give anyone anything that they might be able to look at and get an advantage. So that was something I avoided doing. I just watched and took notes during that session. But there were definitely a lot of drills that I was taping. It got some good clips of some of the guys up close and some pictures and stuff like that. And I didn't see anything. Honestly, I was a little surprised that they didn't say, please don't film during 11s or something like that. That was a little surprising to me.
All right, so let's get into it. A ton of things I want to talk to you about. Let's start with maybe the most surprising thing you took away from your visit up to training camp over the weekend. I heard a lot of different things about people being shocked at what they saw from the depth perspective. Heard a lot about Jake Kumerow. I want to hear a little bit about that from you because I know you yourself tweeted out about that. Talk to me about what was most surprising and, walking out of there, what you took away that you're like, wow, I mean, I wasn't expecting to see that today.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing, the biggest thing for me was probably the defensive line was a big one. And Jerry Hughes out with an injury, so he wasn't able to practice. So that gave the young guys an opportunity to kind of step up and get some reps with the first team against those starters. So we had Greg Rousseau was getting first team reps. So that was pretty cool to see. F.A. Obata was rotating in with that first team as well. So it was really cool to see kind of a fresh defensive end rotation, having a veteran like Jerry Hughes out and being able to give an opportunity to some of those guys that are younger or more toward that kind of roster bubble spot. That was something that I thought was pretty cool to see. And then, I mean, we can go into Jake Kumerow talk because he was another big surprise for me as well. I wasn't expecting to see that number 15 all over the field, but just kept happening. So, that was another pretty cool thing about it.
Jake Kumerow is a name that you would never expect to be in the headlines as much as he has been. Of course, Aaron Rodgers wanting him to come back to the team. No one seems to realize why. Colin Cowherd made me laugh the other day. I was listening to him because if you remember Aaron Rodgers' press conference last week, he listed off a variety of players who were treated unfairly on their way out. Colin Cowherd did a deep dive into these so-called players who weren't treated fairly. And Cowherd essentially said Jake Kumerow went to the Bills. He had one catch. That's what it was. He said it just like that.
Great catch, though.
Great catch. But he, from what I have been told, there were more than a few great catches in training camp. And it looks like Aaron Rodgers, based on the performance of Jake Kumerow with the Bills, will not be able to be reunited with his wide receiver because he's going to make the roster. Your thoughts on what you've seen out of him? Is he going to make the cut?
Yeah, I mean, right now, I think the big kind of competition right now for that last spot, I think, is going to be between Jake Kumerow and Isaiah Hodgins. I think are the two guys in the end that are going to be really fighting for that last spot. And Kumerow saw the field a lot. And now, so when I was on that day there, Diggs was having a rest day. And then Sanders as well was not on the field much. He was participating in drills, so it wasn't a full rest day for him. He was out there, but I think kind of the beauty of of this Bills team, which we've never really seen before, is we've got our guys. We've got our 1, 2, and 3 right now. We know who those guys are. So we don't really need to see them in camp. We sure get them some reps, get their legs moving a little bit, get them back in the swing of things. But you don't have to, these guys don't have to prove anything. So it was a good opportunity to let some of these younger guys and some of these roster bubble guys, again, kind of like those DNs, get in there and show what they've got. And so right off the bat, Kumerow's on the field with the first team. And that was something that surprised me, just because I wasn't expecting to see that guy out there. But he made a couple nice catches. He had a really nice juggling catch over the middle in traffic, good concentration on that one. I think he had a couple catches on the day, and he looked good. He looked solid out there. So, it's kind of funny to see. If Aaron Rodgers likes you, you're probably not too bad, right? So having that nod of confidence, definitely, maybe gave him a little bit of boost. But I think it should kind of speak a little bit to the coaching staff and see, well, let's let this guy do what he can do. Let's see what he has, and see if Aaron's got any scouting chops here, and really figure out what this guy's about.
Well, Aaron really seems like he thinks he has scouting jobs, seeing that he basically wants to be a full-fledged scout for the Green Bay Packers. I always thought that the ploy to get Jake Kumerow back was a legitimate act of spite towards the front office to basically say a borderline practice squad guy needs to be back on the team in order for me to come back. But now seeing that Jake Kumerow is producing to the point where he's potentially going to make the roster, it makes it very, very interesting. And it also adds some legitimacy to what Aaron Rodgers was saying, which I think is kind of cool because it all kind of came full circle within 1 week, especially in Bills circles. You hear about what's going on with Aaron Rodgers, then all of a sudden my Twitter feed is just filled with Jake Kumerow this, Jake Kumerow that. So very interesting and cool to see that you were able to get a perspective in person of what he could possibly bring to an already incredibly deep wide receiver locker room. 60 people live here on with us, and we appreciate you joining us as always. Make sure to follow both of us on Twitter at Clay Troia is Clay. I'm at ZachB22. Share the link, and everybody out here in the chat, because we have a very, very special gift that we're going to be showing you guys in just a little bit. I'm telling you, it's going to shock you. It still shocks me to my core every time I watch it. I know it shocks Clay, that's for sure. And it's going to give you a laugh. It's going to give you a cry, and it's definitely going to make you stoked for what could potentially be coming around the corner. The fact that we had this opportunity was a blessing enough, but what was a, I guess a Greek tragedy wound up being an absolute hilarious bit of comedy is what I'm getting at here. And everybody listening to me right now, obviously Clay knows the inside get here. You guys have no idea what we're talking about. You will shortly. We're going to show you towards the end of the program. It could be my favorite video of all time. It makes me sad and happy at the same time. I'm sure it'll probably make you feel the same way, but looking forward to showing it to you. While I'm here, before I show you that video, always a good time to let you know that this show is brought to you by Manscaped. And as you can see, Clay and I, Clay's a little more cleaned up right now than I am. I have yet to trim up this week. I'm growing like a bear over here. So I always need to keep my Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0 by my side at all times. And luckily I can do that with the safety lock travel feature that it has. Like I told you last week, I've been traveling a lot for concerts. So I just throw that bad boy in the bag, take it with me, and it's ready to go wherever I am. I'm off to Chicago this weekend. That thing will be in my bag, making its way out to Chi-Town to help me get all trimmed up for whatever I got going on. It also has that beautiful LED light on it. So not only can you see what you're doing better, but hey, if you hear a knock on the door late at night, who the hell is that? Grab your Lawnmower 4.0 and go check it out. And then you already know my favorite feature. I don't even have to tell you, but I'm going to anyways. It is the wireless charging pad. I'm all about updated technology, and it doesn't get cooler than charging your freaking razor on a wireless charger. That just makes me feel like we're in the future. That's the Lawnmower Manscaped 4.0, and you can get yours today for a discount using the promo code Fanatics. So head over to manscaped.com, throw the Lawnmower 4.0 in your cart, promo code Fanatics, get yourself a discount. Clay, at the training camp over the weekend, the one thing you sat there and said to yourself, I don't know about that.
Sorry, say that again.
Yeah, I'll phrase it a little bit better. You're sitting at training camp, and you're taking it all in. What's one thing you saw that you kind of step back and were like, I don't know if I like that. If there wasn't,
I mean, I could step. It was worse than that, but it was Bobby Hart. So, Bobby. So first of all, yeah, Deion Dawkins was out. He's wasn't participating in that practice there. So Bobby Hart was the guy that they picked to go ahead and play that left tackle spot in his absence. I thought it was an interesting choice not to do Spencer Brown, not give the young guy some reps up there to see what he can do. They decided to go with Bobby Brown for, they have their reasons. They're smarter than I am. So Bobby Hart was not good, man. He was definitely the biggest disappointment of the day. And I wasn't really expecting that much from him to begin with, but at least we know now that he's not the answer over there at left tackle, because that guy was pretty much a swinging door and was letting everybody through. So, F.A. Obata had a great day, and I think Bobby Hart might have been a part of that, of him having such a good day. Maybe his competition wasn't quite up to snuff. Yeah, I know I said Bobby Brown. Yeah, it was kind of disappointing to see that, and to know that maybe our line depth isn't quite what we think it is.
Any truth to what Elliot Eisler's saying here?
Yeah, I mean, Rousseau, I saw had a couple nice reps against him, and like I said, F.A. Obata was having a good day against him as well. I'm not sure what it is. It's hard to see from the stands and without a bird's eye view. But yeah, he was just not doing well. It felt like someone on that side seemed to be in the backfield quite often on pretty much any given play.
Listen, I'll take the go with the bad at that, knowing that Rousseau is already eating somebody's lunch. I don't care who it is. You want to see that draft pick being put to work early. Love to hear it. Let's stay on the line here. John DeMarchi coming in with the super chat. Appreciate you, John. Ford versus Lamp versus Feliciano. S. Brown, how does he look? Zimmer versus Harry versus Butler. A lot going on here, John. I don't know how you fit all this in one question. Zimmer versus Harry versus Butler for backup D tackle spots. Obata and Zimmer, are people sleeping on them? Clay, a lot there. Do your best, I guess, to try and put that into perspective.
Yeah, so Ford versus Lamp, Feliciano. So Feliciano and Ford were the two starters there. They were getting reps with the ones. To be honest, I can't remember. I wrote all the numbers down on who was first team, second team, but I think Lamp was probably getting second team reps there. It's hard to tell those what's going on in those trenches in real time like that. So unfortunately, I'm not able to give super in-depth analysis on it. But we did see those guys out there. I think we're probably going to end up seeing Ford in that second guard spot. Ford and Feliciano, I think, are probably going to be the number 1 and number 2 guards going in here for the foreseeable future. Yeah, Brown, like I said, he was getting second team reps. I think he got some with third team as well. He just kind of got thrown around a little bit. But from what I could tell, he was doing okay. And I think, we did a film session on him, and he's a raw talent. He needs to be refined a little bit. So I think, the more reps he sees, the better off he's going to be facing off against some of those better guys. As far as interior stuff, I mean, Harry, we met Harry. He's looking big. So I'm happy to see that, and he's looking like he's in pretty good shape right now. I am a huge Zimmer fan. I love him just because of his motor, and he will never give up on the play, and he will give you 110% on every play. So it's gonna that coming down to that D tackle is going to be really, really tough to see kind of if they go for Zimmer, if they go for Butler. But yeah, as far as Obata and Zimmer, I think I don't know if people are sleeping on Obata anymore, because people have kind of been gassing him up a little bit on Twitter. But I think Obata is really giving himself a good chance to make this roster right now. He's doing everything that he can to make light of any opportunity that he's got, and he had good opportunities there on Saturday. And anytime I was watching him, it looked like he was a part of the play. So I definitely think Obata is really making a push right now. And I think now that the pads are on, let's see what he's got. Let's see if he can keep that up.
Let's talk about rookies as we're talking on the line, because the majority of the rookies were taken in the draft are on the line. Anything that stood out in particular from the rookie draft class that you focused in on, that you took away as far as their early development, where they've been placed, and I don't know, maybe just something that stood out to you from any of the rookies out on the field on Saturday?
Yeah, I think, Ryan Sports Rock, he won't be happy to hear this, but Stevenson was pretty much at the bottom of the barrel for the wide receivers as far as where he was getting his reps. He was, pretty much third team, fourth team, getting those passes from Davis Webb and Jake Fromm. So he didn't really see a lot of good action, and it's not a great sign especially when you got a lot of your veteran guys resting up. So to not be able to get some reps rotated through with that first team, he's a young guy, and he'd probably end up being more of a return specialist anyway. But he was a guy that kind of when looking at it, it's Isaiah McKenzie's getting reps with the first team, while Stevenson's getting reps with like the third and fourth team. So that probably takes precedent. As long as Isaiah McKenzie can still catch a punt and return it, you want that guy that can take those first team reps as well. So I think that was probably the one that stood out a little bit. Wild Goose, I saw him on the field a little bit. He was with the twos and the threes. I think he might have got in with the twos a couple times, just because the starting safeties and Tre'Davious White took some rest reps toward the end. They were letting those backup safeties and Dane Jackson get a few more reps out there. So I did see him out there a couple times. I wasn't able to focus in on him at all, but yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see if he was a practice squad guy. Looking over at a comment from Mr. Diggs here. I'll pull that up. Yeah, that was my reference to Wild Goose there.
Edging in on 80 people in here joining Clay and I. We appreciate all of you. Clay really dropping the knowledge on us tonight from practice on Saturday. So cool to hear about all this stuff, seeing that I wasn't able to make it. Just seemed like everybody there was so stoked to be back in the stands. I mean, my Twitter was just flooded with pictures, everybody excited to be back. And I mean, we're talking about just a practice here. And I was speaking on this last week. I've been to a couple concerts now over the summer, and just being back with tons of people at an event cheering on something they love. I mean, the feeling, it's like being there again for the first time. Did you sit back and kind of envision what it's going to be like to be in there for the real thing, seeing how many people were there for just a practice?
I mean, it's going to be insane. The amount of people that showed up, the stands were fairly packed. I mean, I was running all over the stadium during position drills to kind of try to get closer looks at some of the guys. And after a little bit, it was hard for me to find a place to sit down where I was close up, because the stands just kept on filling up. And by the end, it was packed. At the end, I'm like, I'm just going to stay here. I can't get a seat anywhere else close. So I might as well just stay put. So, and that was so awesome to see. And everyone was really into it. You had a bunch of families there, a lot of kids around, which is good to see. Something that I thought that was always really nice to see at Fisher as well.
Right.
And just, people excited about the Bills. And it just, where else? I was drinking a beer and eating a hot dog at 11 a.m. And where else can you feel comfortable doing that except inside that stadium? So it was just an awesome experience, really. And to be able to see how that crowd was. There was a wave going. We did the wave at one point. I'm like, it's during 11 on 11, and all of a sudden there's people doing the wave, and people were getting into
Diggs
it.
Playing catch with people in the stands.
Yeah, Stephon Diggs was playing catch with people. Some people were a little reluctant to throw it back to him. Understandable, but there were, Billy Buffalo was in my section throwing T-shirts at people. It was pretty electric, honestly, and to see how packed it felt, and how that energy felt, just with, I think it was 15,000 fans. When we get back in that stadium, man, and it's a full house, and we get to cheer on our Bills, it's the best Bills that we've seen in many, many years. I can't even imagine, man. I honestly, it's hard to imagine how much that stadium's going to be shaking.
I just had to look down and soak in the visual goosebumps I have from that poetic statement right there. It's so true, and I think we all know it. And the anticipation, it's almost like Christmas. The anticipation is almost as fun as being in the actual moment, just knowing it's right around the corner. The fact that we are in August right now, to me, is absolutely mind-blowing. I mean, we are about a month away from kick, and I don't know. Just saying that out loud, it truly is. It truly is insane. Speaking of eating cured meats and drinking beer before noon, was anybody out in the lot going crazy beforehand or
not that I saw? I mean, I got there pretty early myself, and I think everyone was just so excited to get in. I was expecting to kind of pull up and look around and see some guys shotgunning beers or something like that. I didn't see too much of that. It was a pretty family friendly environment, which was good. I think that was kind of the right feel for it. Yeah, we all just kind of got up to the gates and lined up and got ready to go in. But yeah, would I have been surprised? Not at all. But I didn't see much of it. Yeah, I mean, I was pretty close up to the stadium in the lot, so I didn't get to kind of walk through much of it. But yeah, it might have been happening somewhere in the back. Usually the guys that do that show up, about 10 minutes late anyway. So,
right. Or they're already asleep in their car and they were there at 6
a.m. Yeah.
That's a whole other story.
Yeah.
Mitch Trubisky, let's talk about him for a second.
Mm-hmm.
How do you look on the second team reps and your thoughts on seeing him in person in a Bills uniform for the first time?
Yeah, I thought he was looking pretty good. He made a couple plays where I thought, he probably could have done better there, or maybe he could have made a better decision on a couple throws. He's still learning the playbook. it's so early. I don't think that's too much to look into, but kind of knowing that his decision making has been an issue in the past, make sure that we clean that up before he might have to see the field. So it was still pretty cool though. I mean, when you got Josh Allen as your number one guy, and then you've got another starting caliber quarterback as your backup, that was pretty cool to see. And then I mean, even having guys like Davis Webb, it's pretty cool to watch him throw as well. He's not someone that I've been able to see play a lot because he hasn't really seen the field much. So this has kind of been the first opportunity to really see him and Fromm as well. So, but yeah, Mitch Trubisky, man, I think he's probably the best possible backup that you could have, especially when your starter's a guy like Josh Allen and they have such similar play styles and physicality.
I'm on record saying it's my favorite move of the offseason just because I don't know. It was basically free. He was essentially free. He's a playoff quarterback who was in a very terrible situation in Chicago. And God forbid anything happens to Allen, like you just said, to have a starting quarterback ready to roll who's young, playoff experience. He's played over 50 games, I think, up until this point. I'm just excited to know. It's such a relief to know because we're guilty of circumstance here. Nathan Peterman had to come in for the Bills in a situation that he was clearly not ready for.
Right.
The backup quarterback position in this league, you could argue, is one of the most important positions on the entire roster. And I don't think it gets much better than what's going on in Baltimore. Now, hopefully he doesn't see the field because we have Josh Allen. Talk to me about what you saw out of QB1, which we will get into a little bit more towards the end of the show with our special video feature. But talk to me about what you saw in person. Heard he was launching a few down the field deep. Just what was it like seeing Allen putting the ball back in the air over at the stadium?
Yeah, it's awesome. He's still got it. He's the way, his release. His release is so good, and the ball really just flies out of his hand. And yeah, he had a couple of throws. There was one throw I remember. It was a pretty tight window, and I thought it was kind of a risky throw. But when it's Josh Allen, he can make those work. And then of course, I'm sure you've seen the videos of it, but he threw a dart to Dawson Knox, who went to climb the ladder in the end zone to make a nice catch. And that ball was moving, man. When he threw that, it was a straight line ball. And it didn't even look like he was trying. So honestly, I think the thing that watching him at practice, one of the coolest things is just how much fun he's having out there. I mean, he's just a guy playing football, having fun. He takes it seriously, but not too seriously to the point where he, doesn't allow himself to let loose a little bit. And just watching him run around and, he slap the guys up and do his handshakes and it's just so cool to watch him out there just having a good time. And, he's such a down to earth guy. It's crazy to be like, yeah, he's just a normal guy, just like you and me, except he goes out and he slings the football 80 yards too. So.
Well, you and I had the privilege of seeing that firsthand at Western Media Day. And that was the one thing I think you and I both – and I ranted about it on here the week after for about 20 minutes. What you were just talking about, you were trying to say that he's having fun. He obviously cares. But what you're saying is like it's just naturally fun. That just comes natural to this team. And I remember you and I were standing there as the guys – I remember Allen was trying to hit the garbage can with the football. Mm-hmm. They all had nicknames. It was all slang words. They were like playing tag or something. I remember
it was a whole different language they were speaking, man.
Dude, between Deion Dawkins and it was amazing. They were speaking in code, and I loved it. It was the coolest thing. But I remember you and I were just standing there, and I remember saying to you, I'm like, it's amazing that this is the team. Like, it just kind of looked like you were watching high schoolers who have been best buddies forever. You get that best buddy vibe from this team. I mean, you truly do. And I don't know, man. I've been watching sports a very, very long time. And maybe it's my bias showing, but I've seen this not only in the media, not only from what we're told, but we've seen this firsthand. I have no reason to believe it's anything but true.
No, absolutely. And, I think it's such a testament to everything that Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane have done with the organization to make these guys feel comfortable. It's hard. You can't be yourself unless you feel comfortable in the position that you're in. And I think they do such a good job of that, where these guys feel like they can let loose and have fun. And, they're playing a game for a living, you might as well have fun with it while you're doing it. So I think they kind of allow that. And then, you can have fun, but when it's business time, it's business time. And I think everyone has that ability to, enjoy the time that they're having and enjoy each other's company. And then when they need to turn it on, they can turn it on. And I think it's so important to have that bond with the team, and to have guys next to you that you want to play for, and that you want, you don't want to screw up because, the guy next to you, it could make him look bad, or, he could blow the play up if I do bad. So, having that kind of chemistry, I think, is just so important to being a successful team and being able to hold each other accountable, but still be able to have fun with each other and have that kind of a friendship and brotherhood relationship.
Well, like you said, it's the way they do it. And I'll never forget when Juju was TikToking on the midfield line, and then that video came out of the Bills dancing as a team during practice. And the fact that people couldn't see the difference between the two absolutely blew my top off.
Right.
There's a difference between having fun as a team in practice for 15 seconds, letting loose as a team, and then going and purposely disgracing another team's field for TikTok before the game in a way that was it's just so like, I'll just say the nicest way I can say it is it's just so not what I want on my team. The fact that people draw parallels to that is ridiculous because it comes back to what you're saying. Juju never turned it off. That was Juju. What was Juju? What was he talked about more last year about what he did on the field or his TikTok? It was his TikTok, 1,000,000%. The Bills were all about the field. They enjoyed the moments that they had when they arose, and that's what it's all about. Let's talk about defense. I was seeing a couple of tweets saying, Bills defense looking like it's ready to really make a comeback this year. Talk to me specifically about the cornerback 2 position and kind of what you saw out of that against the ones, because obviously we know right now for the Bills, that's an area that's kind of gray and one that we would like to be a little bit more solidified. What did you see out of the practice on Saturday that might be leaning towards what we're going to see during the season?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a huge Dane Jackson fan, and I love Dane Jackson. I think he can be a solid player, a solid 2 up there at the cornerback position. But right now, it's Levi Wallace's job to lose, and that's what it looked like at training camp when I was there. He was getting all the first team reps. Like I said, Tre'Davious had some rest. He wasn't in on every series with the ones. He was taking those rest snaps, and Jackson was in on the first team with those. So they had both of those guys out there against the ones. And I think they're going to watch it really closely because I think they both have the ability to kind of be those guys and to be able to step in. If one of them goes down, whoever wins that job, if one of them goes down, I think the other one's going to be ready to step in and be able to handle that role quite well. So, it's never a bad thing to have that third corner that can step in on the outside and be your guy for you. So I think the Bills are honestly, for all that we talked about with the lack of cornerback depth, sure, we might not have a household name over there in that number 2 spot, but I think both of those guys are really solid, and whoever wins out that job, it's going to be by, fractions of a hair. And the other one I think is going to be ready to step in at a moment's notice.
Well, think about the quote unquote role players who stepped in positions last year that wound up being absolutely game altering. I don't even need to mention the guy who altered 2 games for us, including the one that got us into the AFC Championship.
Mm-hmm.
So I know the backfield's a revolving door for the Bills, but it doesn't necessarily concern me to an overwhelming amount. Obviously, like I said earlier, would we like it to be more solidified to the point where there were 2 Travius Whites parallel to each other on the field? Of course, but find me a team who's, is lucky to have that. It's few and far between. 100 people and counting in here live. Clay, it's really getting me excited because the more people we get in here, the more
I know
we have to enjoy this masterpiece that we have to show the fans in just a little bit. But before we do that, John DeMarchi again with the super chat. He is on fire tonight. John comes in and says, help me out here, Clay. What does RAS stand for?
RAS, that's the rating system of athleticism that Math Bomb, I think it's at Math Bomb, came up with. He's a guy that's a lot smarter than me, and he came up with a system of rating players' athleticism. How do you not know what RAS is, dude?
I don't know. I've never seen that before in my life.
It's like the score where it's like, there's those sheets or there's 2 columns, and it's all about the combine, and it rates them, and it's in green, yellow, or red, depending on how have you not seen these?
It's not the Wonderlic.
Not the Wonder. No. Completely different. It's all about athleticism. Wonderlic is just like basic intelligence. Like, can you take this test that, how many apples does Georgie have? No, right. It's like all about athleticism. Oh. You've never seen this. You have to make this like an idiot. I'm genuinely surprised.
I think I'm genuinely surprised now too. Where can I find this RAS?
If you look up our football RAS, it should be all over the place.
Well, you're more of an X's and O's analytic guy more than I am.
Yeah, I cared more about it than most did.
And that's why you're so good at breaking this stuff down. For me, I see RAS, and I was thinking that might be some sort of energy drink, 10 ounces in a can. All right, let's get into let's not wait. Sorry, my lack of RAS. I will brush up on that before the season kicks off. John says Zimmer RAS of 10.0 Z. Now tell me, Clay, is that good?
Yes, that's a perfect score.
Okay, so that's a perfect score. But in my honest opinion, equally key player, second goal, Buff 1, Colts up 10-7, late second playoff. He annihilates All-Pro Quentin Nelson. We'll touch on him in a second here. TJ, huge tackle on third. Incompletion on fourth, JA 17, 97-yard drive, Bills win. So what I'm taking here is John DeMarchi, big fan of Zimmer, vibe you're getting?
Yes, yeah. I'm thinking what he's saying is, sure, Zimmer's got a high athletic score and everything like that. And you mentioned some of the key plays that I think he did as well. But I think he's just kind of saying, he's been involved in a lot of key stuff, and he's been there when it really mattered, which I agree. And that's one of the things where it's like, maybe he doesn't look great in practice on every snap, but when it matters, even in the game, he doesn't look great on every snap. There's snaps where it's like, dude, you got to do better than that.
Right here.
I believe so. Wow. I don't think anyone has gotten a 10 other than him. I've never heard this. Yeah, I don't think anyone else has gotten a 10 at D tackle before. I think there are a couple guys that were close, but no one's.
What did Allen score on this?
That's a good question. Honestly, if anyone knows that, throw that in chat here, because I'm a little interested in that as well. But Zimmer, I agree. Where it's like he is a freak. He's an athletic freak. First of all, he kind of looks like he's just gonna stab you, but he's like the nicest guy. That's pretty good.
9.67. Okay, so now this is starting to make more sense to me. So this just in a numbers way tells me how athletic a person is.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just kind of
I didn't know
measures.
about it because I don't want to know what my own RAS is. That's probably half the reason.
Yeah. I don't want to know that either at this
I'll
point.
give you my RAS out in the grass lot this year, and I'll tell you
Yeah.
what, the best RAS out there. But as far as on-field athleticism, I don't want to talk about that one.
I can't wait for that BF special
of
Z-Bot doing the combine drills to find out his RAS.
Absolutely. If we want to get a Buffalo Fanatics RAS drinking challenge out in the grass lot, I'm sure plenty of people in here would like to participate in that. That sounds like something we could get a lot of fun feedback from if we wound up doing that.
Absolutely.
Okay, so 10. So, I mean, the proof is in the pudding that I'm guessing. It's just a matter of Zimmer coming out and putting it to the test.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he just needs to be more consistent on a play-to-play basis, but when it matters, he's there. And that's kind of been a reoccurring theme and he also just does these things where, he's chasing down, he's trying to block Lamar Jackson on an interception return, and he almost did. Right. He almost caught him. So, I think he tied for fastest speed of an interior defensive lineman last year, tied with Aaron Donald, I think, who's also a freak. But yeah, so I mean, he's got all the tools. He just needs to get that consistency down.
Right. Ellie, I love where your head's at. I got to tell you what, if we had like a Bills Mafia Olympics,
honestly, yeah.
Think about this. ESPN The Ocho, Bills Mafia Olympics, table breaking contest, dildo accuracy toss. Who can drink the most out of Pinto Ron's bowling ball? I mean, we could have a legitimate event here.
Yeah, you could even do like a ketchup and mustard squeezing competition. Put a big target out there. Yeah. Exactly.
Actually, I think we should be quiet here, Clay, because I think we got like $1 million idea on our hands here.
No, yeah, we definitely need to keep this until we get this one trademarked here. We should probably keep this on the low.
What do you think would get more views? The actual Olympics right now, so equal broadcasting, a Bills Mafia Olympics of the top fans doing stuff like that, or the actual Olympics?
I don't know. I feel like it would be pretty good just because, people like to watch that whole, I don't remember. I think it's Ireland where they chase the cheese wheel down the hill. They just want to watch. They just want to watch idiots be idiots. And, what is more, if that's not the, peak of Bills Mafia, at least that crowd of Bills Mafia, that would be a lot of fun. Honestly, I haven't watched
contest.
Oh, yes.
They're all coming to me now.
Think about that one. Yeah. But yeah, I definitely think that would get some views for sure.
All right, I'm gonna start getting the guys on the phone. This might need to get organized. And for those in here, first, all 102 of you, the invite will be openly extended to you once we get that plan. Before we get into Clay's best thing that he saw at training camp over the weekend, I got to remind you one more time that the Smoke Break is brought to you by Manscaped and the Lawnmower 4.0. If you haven't gotten one already, have you even been listening to the show? The thing is a beast, and you can get it for an incredible discount using the promo code Fanatics. You have that awesome travel lock, the LED light, the wireless charger, and it has a bunch of different functions that you can change the length and the length of the way that you shave. So for whatever type of hair you have, long, short, in the middle, the Manscaped Lawnmower 4.0 has you covered. And we have you covered here at Fanatics with a promo code, and it's simply Fanatics. So head over to manscaped.com, promo code Fanatics, and pick up the Lawnmower 4.0. If you haven't already, I'm telling you, get on it. The thing is awesome. And they also have a variety of other incredible products on the website as well that you can use that promo code for. All right, Clay, before we get into our big reveal of our amazing broadcast footage that we have to reveal to the fans, give me the best thing you saw over the weekend. Doesn't really matter what it is, just the one thing you walked away from the stadium that really stood out to you the most.
Honestly, to me, it was Mario Addison, and it wasn't his performance on the field, but it was actually it was him coaching up the young guys. And it was something I wanted to see. I got up close to that group over there, and he was coaching those guys up. He was on, they had a kind of a blocking dummy there that's got the arms extended, so you can talk about handwork and stuff like that. And that honestly, I don't know why, but that kind of really struck a chord with me, where it was like this veteran who takes a bunch of flack. we're always talking about, us in the media. I don't know if he probably doesn't pay attention to any of it, but we're always kind of talking like, oh, are they going to cut Addison, or we need to get his contract reduced. He's not getting enough sacks. He's not getting the numbers he's produced or he should be producing. To see him just kind of like be a mentor for those young guys. And it was all three of them that were standing around in a circle around him. Epinesa, Basham, and Rousseau were all standing there, and they were all taking in that information. And I just thought that was really cool to kind of see that kind of leadership out of him. And it made me feel good about kind of the team as a whole as well. And, that brotherhood feel and to be able to kind of pass that knowledge on, and especially for those guys that are, especially Rousseau, he's a raw prospect. So being able to know some of those moves for a guy that's been in the league for a long time and get those tips and tricks right away, that's just going to be so helpful for a guy who, especially, apparently his mind is a sponge. So, it was just really cool to see, and it made me pretty excited for the future with those three guys.
Love that. That's a unique thing you took away. One more thing before I wrap up camp talk with you. Did Dable bust out the Singletary pass yet, or are they saving that for the playoffs or something of that nature?
They did not do the Singletary pass. I'm pretty sure that one's only going to be practiced indoors with no cameras around. They want to keep that one a secret. But I'm telling you, man, Singletary's got an arm. You better watch out for him, man.
Telling you, I told everybody on here, I said when me and Clay were because I was telling everybody about all the cool little nuances we got to experience that you wouldn't be able to on a daily basis. And that to me was one of them. Just watching Allen try to hit that garbage can, and then Singletary was fielding him the ball, and he's dropping dimes 50 yards. So you and me go up to him, we go, hey, if it's not already in the playbook, tell Dable that we definitely insist that it gets in there ASAP.
Yeah, I mean, he loves to have different guys throw the ball. He's had Beasley throw it, Brown threw it, McKenzie threw it. There's only so many guys on that list. I think Sanders has thrown a touchdown before too, or at least he's completed a pass in the NFL. So maybe Sanders gets one. I think Singletary, he can throw the long ball, man.
Like I keep saying, you hear to hear first. Coming back up the list here, Jeff Danger said, didn't Clay used to have the best lead to the lawnmower? Yes, he did. Clay used to have those legendary ad reads on Wednesday nights where he was talking about his luscious fill in the blank and how he used the lawnmower 4.0 to take care of business. Also, Mr. Diggs saying, so a Bills Mafia pentathlon. Yeah, sorry. Mm-hmm. Between RAS and pentathlon tonight, Clay.
Yeah.
It's a rough one.
Struggling.
Is in the works. I'm not saying it's not, Mr. Diggs. I'm not saying
all I'm saying is that if it happened, I would show up.
I mean, so. I just got to imagine. Here's what I think. If somebody can get me on the phone with Dave Portnoy, you don't think he'd sponsor that in 2 seconds?
Honestly,
Barstool hosted that. Are you kidding me?
Honestly, you should probably just slide into his DMs right now, man. Do we have any connections at Barstool? I genuinely think that they could they would just steal the idea from us.
Listen,
Dave,
man,
if you're watching,
you're right.
Don't steal this idea from us.
You're right. Listen, Bobby and Pierre have more connections than I can ever imagine. So I know they're listening, and when you hear this, start dialing straight out of Wolf of Wall Street. Pick up the phone and start dialing. We need the Bills Mafia pentathlon in the works soon. All right, Clay, 109 in here. I'm so stoked to show what we got coming. But before we do, we have to talk about a major contender in the AFC to the Bills taking devastating blows this past week. If you've been watching my show regularly, you know I am incredibly high on the Indianapolis Colts this year, with Frank Reich leading the charge with his former quarterback in Carson Wentz. Carson Wentz is now needing foot surgery, and almost out of a nightmare for Indianapolis Colts fans, Quentin Nelson suffers a very similar injury, and he needs surgery, and that's going to put him out 5 to 12 weeks, which now means that for the Indianapolis Colts, it is Jacob Eason's job to lose at quarterback, one of the best O-linemen in the game, out on the front line for him. Clay, your quick thoughts on what went from a team that could easily give the Bills a run for their money and still could down the line towards the AFC Championship, really taking a massive blow this week in injuries.
Yeah, I mean, first of all, Carson Wentz, he's got to be we're going to see videos on YouTube in 10 years about the tragic story of Carson Wentz. That dude he has no luck left. I'm trying really hard not to make any jokes about him not being able to catch a break, and the Colts running out of luck. It's very hard to avoid them.
Where's my rim shot, but I don't have it on here.
I stole that one from Kevin there, our resident Dolphins fan. It was a pretty good joke.
Kevin's always good for a quip or two every now and then.
He is. But yeah, I mean that poor guy, man. The Colts were gearing up to be a really good looking team this season, and then your quarterback goes down, and it's okay. We got a couple really good running backs. We can get by on running the ball with a young quarterback back there, and then your number one offensive lineman gets the same injury, and he's going to be out for a similar amount of time. That is just. It's bad to worse, man. I feel really bad because you hate to see guys go down, and you hate to see that the competition's lost because of something like that. And I was, don't get me wrong, I was pretty worried about those guys. Possibly giving us another good game this season. So it still could happen, like you said. Those guys could have good recoveries. We hope they do have good recoveries. Because obviously we want to beat the best and show them who we really are anyway. So. Yeah, it's definitely. I just feel so bad for those guys.
No doubt. I have a bunch of Colts buddies who are fans. I had one of them already ask me if we will honorarily welcome him into the Mafia this season. That's where he's at. I mean, there's nothing worse than knowing before the season even starts that you're already at an incredibly large disadvantage, especially when you were at a massive advantage compared to where you were a season ago, which was in a pretty damn good spot. And now to go from that to you're hearing Nick Foles lobbying for the job in a presser, which was Philip Rivers saying he's leaving the door open to come back. I mean,
I would love to see Rivers come back, man. They've got their options. Minshew's still a free agent too. I think they went with Hundley or Hundley. I don't know how his name's spelled, but they decided to go with him. Interesting choice. I don't know. They got their reasons for what they're doing out there. RG3 still available. He's kind of old. I don't know if he can be of much help at this point in his career or not.
Hanging around too. I mean, there's a lot.
That would be a higher asking price, but yeah. I mean, if you want to go for a guy, there's guys available right now. Even ones that are currently free agents that I think they have options at. So they could definitely be in worse positions. But yeah, Nick Foles, I mean, late round pick for Nick Foles, maybe, mid to late round. I bet he wouldn't mind kind of taking over another Carson Wentz team.
This was. I keep putting up the wrong. I'm looking for one that I wanted to click on here. How much can we get for Mitch right here? This was another reason why I liked picking up Mitch Trubisky. You never know what happens. Case in point, right here. There will be other teams, and it's an unfortunate reality, but a reality nonetheless. There are going to be teams who have quarterbacks go down. Mitch Trubisky is a starting quarterback in this league. You never know. Like I'm seeing here from Caitlin, how much can we get from Mitch? It depends on what the landscape looks like. If quarterbacks go down, there's nobody else available. That's why, in my opinion, for a multitude of reasons, getting Mitch Trubisky on the Bills this offseason was one of Bean's best moves of the entire year. All right, Clay, 120 in attendance. Plenty of more. We'll be seeing this down the line at some point this week. Should we give a little bit of a backstory first?
Yeah. Well, let's give the background a little bit here.
Let me set the stage for you, Bills Mafia. Okay. So Clay and I, as I've told you on the show before, we had the distinguished honor of covering West Herb Media Day. Met a bunch of the Bills players, interviewed all of them. Now we interviewed. There were 6 players, if I'm correct, Clay, in total.
5 players total,
5 players
and
total.
plus Tasker.
So 6 total members of the Bills community were there to be interviewed. We didn't interview Steve because he was very busy, but we interviewed the rest of the players. I'm sure you've all seen the interviews by now. There's one you have not seen. We interviewed all these players throughout the day, and they were very gracious. And man, Clay and I left there on cloud nine. The day we had was absolutely amazing. And as we reiterate time and time again, we can't thank Wester enough. So amazing day. And Josh Allen was there. Josh Allen is the lead spokesperson along with Steve Tasker for Wester, and his day was loaded. So basically what Clay and I were there to do was, get media content for Wester for online and interview the players. But we were told, since Allen is the main attraction there, he was going to be very busy. He was shooting commercials all day, and obviously he's the main guy. Everybody wants him. So we were under the impression that there was a chance we'd be able to sit down with Josh Allen, but there was no guarantee. So the day is coming to an end, and we're having a blast watching all these guys, watching Josh Allen golf on the golf simulator. I mean, that was great. As I said earlier, watching Josh Allen throw the ball into the trash can 50 yards out almost effortlessly. All the players have been interviewed up until this point. And there's Josh Allen at the golf simulator with easily one of the greatest golf strokes I've ever seen in person. It is majestic.
Yeah.
I think if he wasn't playing football, he could easily probably be on the tour.
Definitely. Steve too, by the way. Tasker could swing that thing, man.
Dude, that would even like Deion Dawkins' worst form I've ever seen. He's hitting it off the tee 400 yards.
Seriously. Pure power, dude.
So the power was insane. So Allen is right there. And I don't know, man. I got to say, Clay and I were a little gun shy. There's no question about it. I mean, I told everybody on the show here, when you're in the presence of Allen, you just feel it. There's something you feel. You just feel like you're in the present. I mean, we've been waiting for a guy like Allen forever. And look, I'm the same age as Josh Allen. And I told everybody on the show, I didn't want to say I was starstruck, but maybe that's what it was. Just being near him felt, it was something in the air. It was palpable. And we just didn't know whether we were going to be able to interview him or not. So Clay and I had conducted all the other interviews with the players, and we're sitting at the table, and we have cameras that are filming these interviews, and they're charging at the moment as this is happening. Now I look up, and who's walking over towards me and Clay other than QB1, number 17, Jay Allen. Walks over like the gentleman he is, sticks his hand out. Nice to meet you. I introduced myself. Clay introduced himself. I said, you got a minute? He goes, sure. Allen sits down at the table. He's holding onto this mic that you see in front of me right here. He puts my headphones on. Remember, Clay? He goes, you want me to wear the headphones? I go, I only got one pair. I said, if you want to conduct the audio, it's on you. He goes, oh, no, that's fine. So he gives me the headphones. All right, well, as I told you, the cameras are on a battery. Got to get the camera set up. Go and put the cameras up on the tripod. And I'm rounding the corner. Allen's sitting in his chair right across from him. There's the film guru, Clay Troia. He's ready to go. And remind you, Allen, he doesn't do many interviews, So me and Clay, we knew what this opportunity was. And the tripod is set up. The audio board is plugged in. The mics are ready to go. I'm rounding the corner after plugging the cameras in. And here's the exclusive interview that Clay Troia and I conducted with QB1, Josh Allen.
Ready, boys? Good to go? Sorry, we gotta Okay, yeah, no worries.
We'll be hanging.
Great interview, guys.
Thanks for coming, man.
Thanks for coming, Josh. Yeah, how'd you do?
Oh my God, it never gets old. All right. Without being as vague, let me tell you what just happened there, okay? Like I said, Josh was incredibly busy all day. All day. The fact that he even had the chance to sit down with us for whatever that was, I know exactly how long it was. It was 12 seconds. The fact that he had the chance to sit down with us for 12 seconds was amazing. Now, Josh was going to interview with us, but they needed to do a commercial shoot. What you hear in the background is the producers of the commercial saying, we're so sorry, boys, but we need to take Josh Allen to go film. So as you can see, I'll play it again, but we're ready to interview him. And it was almost, we were talking afterwards, it was almost like it was scripted out of a movie. Like, there he is, the big interview, Jay Allen. I'm through this, Clay. I'm round in the corner. Boys, we're so sorry. We need him. Here it is one more time before we show you the cinematic edited version.
Ready, boys? Good to go? Sorry, we gotta Okay, yeah, no worries.
We'll be hanging.
Great interview, guys.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for coming, guys. Yeah, how'd you do?
That's I gotta be honest with you though. That just goes to show you the wit on the guy, the wherewithal. Him to lean in.
He's really funny, dude. He's like very quick witted, just a normal guy, just a chill dude.
This is Elliot's on fire tonight. That's like when you hook up with the hottest girl in your life. Elliot, oh my God, go off, King. That was fantastic. That's what because Clay and I were obviously bummed we couldn't do the whole thing, but we talked about it a lot afterwards, and we were like, man, we were so happy we had that on tape.
Yeah.
Because we could always relive, and everything was perfect. The way that you could hear them saying they needed him. The way you can see me and Clay just like, oh, okay. And then the way Alan just plays it off, cool as a cucumber, like, great interview, guys, gets up. Just when you thought it couldn't get better, Clay Troia put on a masterclass in cinematic editing and created this masterpiece, which we like to call, I don't know, what do you call this?
I don't know, but get the tissues out.
Get the tissues out this fall. The biggest tearjerker to come out of Western New York. Here it is. All right.
Okay.
Oh God, dude.
Oh, one more time. One more time. All right.
Okay.
Oh my God, dude.
I haven't watched that in like a couple months. Right, let me put that into perspective. It was like 2:00 in the afternoon. Look at my eyes. Oh my
dude,
God.
I'm actually crying from laughter though.
It was like 2:00 in the afternoon on like a Wednesday, and I just get Clay no context, no words. I just get a video of the just a text with the video. I'm like, why is he sending me this again? Click on it. Dude, I'm telling you, man, I haven't laughed that hard when I first saw it, and I still laugh this hard to this day. Chris asked, Cannes Film Festival, film noir. Yes, I think that could qualify. Oh my good God, it's my favorite thing of all time.
It was so good. Yeah, I mean,
by the way, this was of nobody's fault.
I wanted to say that. Yeah, I mean, Josh didn't stand us up. The West Tour guys weren't trying to pull him away from us or anything. He was there for the West Tour event. They were nice enough to even invite us and get us those 4 interviews that we got. It would have been an incredible amount of luck and chance for us to actually be able to sit down with him for more than the 30 seconds that we did. So even just to get that, I can't wait till I'm 50 years old and he's won 2 MVPs and I get to play that for my nieces and nephews and stuff like that.
You couldn't have said it better, Clay. Like you just said, it was just the way the day landed. We, like you said, me and Clay, I mean, we didn't lose sight of the fact once that day how lucky we were to be there and to be a part of all that. The fact that Alan sat there was just the cherry on top. And he's a busy man, and we understood that completely. And look, if that didn't happen, we wouldn't have that cinematic masterpiece that you just watched. So everything happens for a reason. And like Clay just put it perfectly, man, when Alan's hoisting his 8th Super Bowl and I get to show the little kids, hey, your old man was pretty cool back in the day, right there.
You know what? When we actually get the interview with him, it's going to feel so much better. We can show him that clip ourselves,
Exactly. That's how we're going to lead it off. Like, Alan, you probably remember the greatest interview of your life. Just to reiterate what you had done. Amazing. where did I say this? Just to clarify, Mr. Diggs says, so why did Josh have to go? So Josh was doing he had a ton of work to do with Wester that day. So busy. I mean, the fact that he was even over there for the amount of time he was, which is like a minute, was crazy. I mean, we were there all day.
Right.
I don't know how he lasted. I know how tired I was after that day. He was nonstop doing stuff all day, man.
Yeah.
From like 8 a.m. to 5 p.m.
We were sitting at a table interviewing people, and like I was exhausted. And those guys, Steve as well. Steve Tasker was the same. Those guys were in virtually every commercial. And they had so many little scripts to go through. You know, at that Wester event, they film everything for the entire season. So any of the Wester commercials that you see throughout the season were filmed on that one day. So they really had a tight schedule. And you know, that's why it was no fault of anyone. It just that was the circumstance that we fell into.
And that was also another cool element because we got to watch these commercials get filmed behind the scenes, and the rapport that Alan and Steve Tasker have is hilarious. It's like a comedy duo. And Alan will like screw with Tasker too. And they would do outtakes. It was great. So, and to answer your question, Truth, Two Hearts, we did keep the chair. Me and Clay, we cut it in half and we each have a slice of it. And it's
hanging on the wall.
Yep. Mine's on my mantle and it's framed and it's going nowhere. Clay, I mean, I don't think we can top it better than that to end the show. The only way I think we can is if we send them off one more time with one last peek at the film coming to Cannes Festival next summer. Here it is. All right, boys. Good to go?
Sorry, we gotta Okay, yeah, no worries.
We'll be hanging.
Great interview, guys.
Thanks for coming, man.
Thanks for coming, guys. Yeah, how'd you do?
That was the trailer. Here's the real thing. All right.
Okay.
Here's
so
the other
much
thing that's so great about this. I edit videos for a living. That is my job. And I've never done anything close to what Clay put together. The fact that the hits right when Clay's face is like, and then you just look at me and I'm like, chef's kiss, and we're going to end it there. Clay, brother, thank you for joining me. Fun as always. You dropped some freaking knowledge on us tonight. Thanks for sharing your experience over the weekend. It was great hearing about it.
Dude, thank you so much for having me on, man. Always a pleasure to come on and, just kind of talk, hang out. I never, ever prepare anything to come on the show because I'm like, Bob and I are just going to talk for an hour. It's no big deal.
That's basically the same way I am. And I knew we had that in our arsenal tonight, so I knew it was going to be a fun one. Plus, I mean, you were tweeting coverage of the training camp all day, so I knew you were loaded with stuff, and I was excited to hear about it. Hope everybody here took some stuff from Clay that he gave us tonight because there was plenty of it. We'll have plenty more smoke break for you next week. Once again, thanks to Clay Troia for joining and dropping all that knowledge on us. Until next time, next Wednesday, 8 p.m., I'll be back. Until then, stay safe. Have a great rest of your week. And as always, go Bills.
Go Bills.